Hello, hello, everyone.
All right, let's see. It's a bit windy outside.
Someone's yelling downstairs.
Stares at someone for something. Don't know why. Someone's mad.
Who knows why? It's a Friday. I'm very happy. All right, let us pop out the chat and let's get started.
And then let's. Okay, so let's create a new window for everyone over here.
All right, so, man, it is windy. Welcome, everyone. My name is Shashank. I'm a data analyst working at Nordstrom, a major North American fashion retailer. I do this live stream once every Friday at 5 p.m., whatever time I happen to be in. So right now I'm in Mountain Time, so that's 7 p.m. Eastern. And this is just to help people who want to get into the world of analytics answer their questions, whatever they might have. We built a little bit of a community over here, so sometimes we're just here shooting the breeze, talking about just random stuff. So it's always great to see some people come here. And then I also have a stream at morning United States time, so 11 a.m. Eastern on Thursdays, and that is obviously anyone's free to come whenever. But that is specifically tailored for the European and Asian and African audiences because they have a hard time making this stream because it's so late wherever they happen to be. If I only had this stream, so I'm going to be asking. Oh my God, Francis, that's crazy. Francis is here on all the streams answering questions. I love it. Wow, it is windy. I need a haircut. So today I have passion fruit LaCroix. Let's get started. Joining at 5 a.m. in the morning. Oh my God, wow. Yeah, so I mean, if you're joining in from somewhere, anywhere really, just let me know where you're from. I always love seeing where people are coming in from. I'm huge traveler, so I get new ideas of like places I could go to whenever I am on these live streams. All right, so let's get started. I know you guys are here for a specific reason. So, Pedro Macaya, hello. I want to work in data science, but in parallel with my engineering. What steps do you recommend, practices or content? Okay, so Pedro, could you give me a little bit more information as to what exactly you're doing in life right now? Like, are you a student? Are you a master student, bachelor student? What are you doing? Where are you at? Because that would drastically change the advice that I give you. And then I'll come back to your question. What's up, CF? Hey, 180 Digi and Weeb Course. These guys are here all the time. Love it. Mansib, great to see you. Bangladesh, cool, cool. I really want to visit one day. So uh, I'm at an age where basically my cousins are getting married every year or so. Um, and so I have a cousin getting married in January, and I wanted to take the time if I happen to go to India for that marriage. I'm not really sure. I need to see what the state of COVID is over there. I really wanted to go to either Pakistan or Bangladesh on while I was there. Last time I went to Malaysia, but I figure I should see more South Asia. I've only really seen India when I'm in South Asia, but I'd love to see Bangladesh or Pakistan. So that's just a little bit of a side conversation over there. All right, Nightmare. Okay, the ultimate way. We'll get to your question in a second. Okay, so Nightmare. Hi, Shashank. In my dataset, some features are in float values while it is a categorical problem. So should I remove them or should I convert them to binary values? I'm a bit confused. Please explain this. Okay, Nightmare. So that's a little bit of a difficult question to answer without more information as to the dataset itself. Usually people have the exact opposite problem where they have categorical variables they need to convert into some numerical value. So if you have features from India, cool, cool, cool. Um, what's up, the fighter jet? Doing really well, doing really well. I'm glad you're doing well too. Okay, so some features are in float values while it is a categorical problem. Interesting. So, what do you mean some features are in float values while it's a categorical problem? I'm familiar with the exact opposite problem where you need numerical values to fit into a machine learning algorithm, but you need, but you only have values, and that's where you would use something like cat boost, which is a boosting algorithm, or you would obviously encode your values either using the standard encoder or one hot encoder. All right, so Pedro Macaya, save the live, please. Growth Magnet, yes, I will. So Pedro, before I get to your question, so Growth Magnet, you brought up an interesting point over here. So I save all of my lives. I didn't save last Friday's because I accidentally showed something on my screen that I probably shouldn't have showed. It wasn't a big deal, but like I'm not gonna do that again. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just like remove this live. But I have exited everything on my computer. Nothing should show that I'm not expecting to show. So we should be good to go. That being said, I am definitely considering archiving old live sessions. So what I'm thinking is I will keep the previous live session on for about a week or so, and then delete it and archive it, only so I can keep my YouTube channel a little bit cleaner. Because if you look and see, you'll see that like my YouTube channel is kind of like I have a lot of people coming and asking me, did you make a video on this? Did you make a video on that? And when I look at my YouTube channel, I can kind of understand why they ask that question. Like it's a little bit messy, like you'll see just like this mess of like data analyst Q&A, and I would like to really clean it up. So I'm probably going to delete old ones, but I'll archive them somewhere and give you guys the link. So I'll be like, you can like, I'll give you like the link you can access them, but I don't have to put them in my YouTube channel exactly. I'm always looking at ways to actually improve this YouTube channel. So let me know. Hey, Paolo, great to see you. So sorry, Pedro, back to your question. I'm a student about to graduate, and I would like to receive more income, apart from the fact that I find the area interesting. So, Pedro, when you say you're a student, are you a master's or a bachelor's student? I'm going to assume you're a bachelor's unless you correct me. Oh, excuse me. All right, so your question is you want to work in data science in parallel with my engineering. Interesting. In that case, I mean, data engineering is not a bad place to go. Broadly speaking, on average, data engineers between the three major data science careers, data analyst, data scientist, data engineers are usually paid the most on average. Again, like uh, in any given company, those numbers could be wildly different. But like on average in the United States, according to like Glassdoor and stuff, my understanding is that data engineers are on average paid the most. So you could always be a data engineer. Otherwise, data science is you will do some engineering, like data engineering in like basically any data science job, unless you work in like one of those like really like highly functioning companies that has like a very advanced analytics practice where like the data scientists have the data handed to them on a platter. Um, Most of us don't, and most jobs are not like that. So I have a feeling that just working as a data engineer is a great way to like combine those two things. All right. Pratik, so I'm not going to delete the videos, but I will I will archive them somewhere. The problem is YouTube is not a tremendous platform for actually interacting with subscribers, which is really freaking annoying. At the end of the day, I think YouTube's like the best platform out there, but like it doesn't offer like DMs and stuff or like a way to like clean up your YouTube page. I find it really annoying that they don't like have tools to like clean up this page over here and like highlight. Well, I guess you do have the home, and I guess I could clean this up, but yeah, I should probably look into that. But I'll archive the videos and like give you guys a link to that. That way they're not like lost forever. But I do want to find ways to improve this channel. And that's one thing I think I could do. All right, Nightmare. I am not seeing a. Hey, Hippo Lord. Great to hear from you. Great to hear from you. Thank you so much for telling people to like the video. Also, I will get back to you in a minute, Hippo Lord. I did receive your message. Okay. What do you think about the future of data analysts as scientists? I hear that these positions could be extinct in 5 to 10 years due to technology like automation. So, IH, this is a great question. I'm glad you asked it. So there have been there people have been talking about the extinction of XYZ professions for like forever. Not to say it doesn't happen. At the end of the day, technology does win out eventually, and like eventually professions do become less valuable. The thing is, if you're a data scientist or you're a data analyst, you're working behind the technology, as in like the technology doesn't control you, you control the technology. I think 100% at very high functioning enterprises, really basic data analysts will be ironed out. So like the lowest level data analysts at very advanced enterprises will probably not have many jobs in those areas. But I've worked at enough companies that aren't Google and are not Facebook. So don't take what people say from Google and Facebook, for example, to be the norm. It very much is not. Those are like companies that are built on software and have like the most advanced data practices ever. Most companies are not like that. And don't have the infrastructure to be like that. But I honestly see analysts and scientists becoming more and more important as time goes on. But the profession being less about like less menial. So here's a great example. AutoML is a great new tool that's like really popular these days. Basically, it's automated machine learning. But automated machine learning still needs a data scientist in most cases to actually interpret the results and to actually like execute on it. What AutoML does, like realistically, is that it removes a lot of the menial stuff that data scientists had to do, but you still need someone who like understands data, they understand the machine learning algorithms, they understand how everything works and why you need to apply certain transformations where. It's kind of like Python, what Python did, right? Like Python was a form of simplification for the data science universe in that all these algorithms that ran on C++ are now able to be easily executed by Python, which is a much simpler language learned in C++. So I think it's a tremendous question you have. I don't think the profession will become extinct. I think the bigger problem for our profession is kind of like what I talked about in the previous live stream yesterday, where at the bot, like every profession has a kind of a pyramid of like the entry level and least skilled people in the profession, and obviously least paid, right? And then generally, as you work up, you'll become more skilled, more specialized. There'll be fewer people in your level, and you'll be paid more just because there's fewer people there. What I'm thinking is going to happen is that so many people are going to see that data science and data analytics are a tremendous bang for your buck profession, meaning that the number of hours you put in relative to the amount you get paid is very, very high. This is in comparison to something like, say, investment banking, where like investment banking, you put in a ton of hours, you get a ton of money, but you put in a ton of hours, and work-life balance is typically horrendous. Or even consulting. Consulting is another great example of this, where again, work-life balance is typically horrendous, but you get paid a decent salary. Consultants' salaries are usually not like amazing unless you work in like very specialized consulting. But like companies like Bain and Company, they pay like, I mean, the salaries are like they're okay, but like if you're looking for bang for your buck, technology is where you want to be. But a lot of people are going to realize that, right? And it's going to like kind of break out like that, where the bottom is going to be filled with a bunch of less skilled people, and those salaries are going to go like, are going to start bottoming out. And that's where I think it's important for all of us. Again, if you're watching this live stream, you're obviously like a high achieving individual in this space, because who spends their Friday watching a live stream of someone talking about analytics and data science, right? You guys are obviously doing like more than you need to. I think as long as you like keep moving upwards and forwards, you'll be fine. It's a great worry to have though. All right. All right, so we got some interesting questions. Oh, nightmare. Okay, the problem is phishing detection. Okay, so for anyone that's not aware, phishing is basically when someone sends you a fake email that say like looks like PayPal, it looks like it's from PayPal, and they steal your information from there. It's not really hacking. It's more social engineering than anything, but it's probably the most effective form of like quote unquote hacking, scamming really. In it, some features are having values in a float like 0 to 1 instead of int 0 or 1. So how should I deal with them? Won't have a problem when applying an algo to it. Okay, so Francis Okoye, I feel like I thought you answered this question. You can categorize them into groups, for instance, variable quantity. Yeah. So Francis Okoye, this is definitely a great way to do it. So you make a histogram out of it, and you take your floats and you group them into certain sections. Um, Anything that is 0 to 5 is bad. Anything that's 2 to 3 is good. Anything that's 4 to 5 is excellent. Something like that. So like a great example would be the grading system. You can get anywhere from a 0 to a 100 on a school assignment, right? But those grades are then broken down into A, B, C, D, F, where F is anything below a 6 or anything below a 70, depending on like who's actually grading it. That would be a way of converting numerical variables to categorical variables. All right, Andy Chen. I just started learning data analytics by watching your SQL video. Should I move on with Tableau and Python, or should I practice SQL and go deeper with projects? I think that you should learn Tableau next. Ooh, that's a hard one. The problem with SQL is that you can't really do a project with SQL, because SQL only is useful when you have enough data to have a database, which is like one-off projects are generally not accessing SQL unless like it's like SQL in a company. So that's where I'd say like learn Tableau or Python next, and then do a project. Um, Tableau is a great, easy to start place. So I think Tableau would probably be a good bet. Do that, do a project, and then move on to the Python one. Great question, Andy. All right. Sorry, guys, just checking my Slack messages. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so next one. Of course, Nightmare. Glad to hear it. I mean, I'm getting more into the data science space, so I love hearing data science questions. Okay, so the ultimate way. I have my first data analyst interview next week. I'm seriously underqualified at the moment, but eager to learn. Do you have any tips for interview preparation? I would say maybe don't go around saying you're underqualified, like in the interview. but keep like hammering in the point that you're like eager to learn. Like say, I'm eager to learn. I'm eager to learn. Um, excuse me. Yeah, so keep hammering in the point that you're like eager to learn. I think people would be very interested to see someone who really is that eager to learn. So yeah. I mean, I don't see the problem with that at all. I think that's a great way to go about it. You should also what you should also do is if they have a technical interview, right? I'll be honest. If they have a technical interview and you can't pass it, then you're going to have major problems. Or like at least like show some competence in the role. If they don't have a technical interview, then I would drive the conversation away from your technical skills and drive them towards your business skills. Talk about how you'd structure out a problem and how you would like ask the stakeholder, okay, you want to know how many how many dogs we or I don't know like what let's say how many pieces of clothing we sold in the last year. Here's how I would structure that problem. Here's all the considerations I would make. Really try and like dig into your business schools, so skills. That's what I would recommend. Damon Dupre. Oh, hey, great to see you. I got your message as well. Hi, Sean. Greetings from Fort. Hey, Fort Worth. I am from Dallas, Texas. So great to see someone from Fort Worth. Let's go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What are some? Okay, so Matt, why? What are some common pitfalls? Yeah. So what are some common pitfalls users fall into when creating ETL pipelines for the first time? Ooh. Okay. So for anyone that doesn't know, ETL stands for extract, transform, and load, and it's the process by which you extract data from one data source, you will transform it, and then you will load it into some other data source. So a common ETL process is you are taking in like CSVs that are being delivered by some data vendor. You are transforming them, like basically that means you're like setting data types and stuff like that because CSVs don't have data types inside them. They're just text files, and then you're inputting them into a database of some kind. So extract, transform, load. Um, So common pitfalls that users fall into when creating ETL pipelines for the first time. Okay, dates are a huge one. There are a million different ways to format dates. There's Americans, we format dates month, day, year. The rest of the world does day, month, year, which makes a lot more sense. Most SQL databases I see do year, month, day, which I personally like seeing the most because year, month, day also makes it very easy to sort out your values because even if your values are strings, you can just sort them using a normal like any sorting algorithm. Um, So I would say dates are probably your biggest pitfall that people will fall into, and just data types in general. That's what people will fall into, like with ETL pipelines. And I find, especially with like with pandas, data type pandas does not do a tremendous job with data types. Honestly, like it does an okay job dealing with dates. It has like a bunch of different formats for numbers and stuff like that. Because like Pandas is built on top of NumPy and standard Python. So I would say Pandas. While I love it and it's like my favorite library ever. When I built ETL, I guess pipelines and Pandas, the way it handles data types is really really annoying. All right, next question. Why not create a list? So Weeb course, what are you referring to over here? Francis Okoye, Andy, should I suggest you learn Tableau slash Power BI? Then, hey, yeah, that's exactly what I said. Perfect, perfect. Francis and I are the same wavelength right now. Perfect. That's amazing advice. All right. How do you excel in your 3 months probation period? Okay. So what Yuga's talking about over here, I'm not sure if other countries have it, but in the United States, it's fairly common where within 90 days of you starting a company or starting at a company, most companies can fire you, no harm, no foul. They don't have to they always have to pay you for the time worked, but they don't have to like if you want to take them to court and stuff like that, it's significantly harder. And I mean, I don't think it's a horrible idea at the end of the day, and that's very much colored by like my generally good experience with companies. Um, so, how do you excel in your 3 months probational period? I would say one piece of advice I give everyone, and this applies to basically any job: meet as many new people as you can, um, and ask them this one question. I mean, obviously, like make friends with them, but ask them this one question: what is something that like you have? What is a major problem that you have encountered in this company that you've not been able to solve or that has not been solved? Find a better way to word it, obviously. Then go ahead and solve at least one of those problems. Usually, someone will have some problem that's easy enough to solve. And that will be because a lot of times people will have these like things that are just annoying enough to be annoying, or just bothersome enough to be annoying, but just easy enough to not like fully automate or something. And that's one thing I think that you can do to excel in your 3 months probationary period. Also, take excellent notes. People in corporate America, generally speaking, don't take great notes. Especially when I see that, like, obviously, like, I came from college fairly recently. The skill of note takers in college versus the skill of note takers in corporate America, it blows my mind. So I would 100% say that is a great way to go about um, doing it. Oh, okay, weave course. Yeah, I think a playlist would definitely be one solution. Definitely be one solution. All right. Oh, and yes, of course, Hippo Lord. Everyone, please remember to like this video. I see we have 34 people here, but we have 10 likes. So make sure to like this video if you like what you're seeing. It's great for the YouTube algorithm and helps spread these live streams to more people. Also, if you're interested in me answering your question immediately, so you'll see that I'm like going through the question one by one, and I never get through all the questions just because we get so many of them. And I mean, I do love that so many people have so many questions. I love answering them, and I try to answer them like thoroughly, so I never can get through all of them. If you want me to answer your question immediately, if you send me a super chat, that's guaranteed I will answer your question immediately. And you'll see sometimes I skip around. I try to go in order, but sometimes I skip around because like people will add some like very interesting information, and like I like to add that to the chat. All right. Oh, thank you so much, Paulas. Yeah. I really designed my courses to be like foundational for a lot of people. So I do hope that they're help. Uh, Maybe the only problem is it still makes my like video section really messy. And what I probably need to do is I probably need to like look into like the YouTube algorithm. At the end of the day, if having a messy video section doesn't affect the accessibility of my content at all, then I see no need to delete anything. But I do need to do more research into it. So Prod Swift, how can I get a data science internship as a senior in college business major? That's going to be a tough one. Okay, so here's what you do. So business majors are some of the most sensible people I've ever met. If you ever see I do interviews. I'm on podcasts every once in a while. Okay, I'm hoping if I like move myself this way, then like it'll stop blowing my hair as much. I make fun of business majors quite a bit, purely in jest. Business majors are some of the most sensible people I know in that like they know how to get jobs. So I would recommend going to your career office, letting them know that's what you want to do. They will usually have great advice on how to structure your resume such that you can actually like get one of those jobs. Then I would recommend go to my YouTube channel, watch my Tableau course, learn how to use Tableau, put that on your resume. Then watch my SQL course, learn how to use SQL, put that on your resume. Then watch my Python course, learn how to use Python, put that on your resume. If you can't do all of those, learn how to use Tableau. Tableau is a tremendous way for people without any technical skills, which I mean, just because you're a business major, I'm just guessing you don't have any. But obviously, correct me if I'm wrong. It is a great way to actually get your foot in the door with analytics. And I'm saying that as someone who was a chemistry major and had no like computer technical skills. I learned Tableau first, and that really helped me secure a high or a well-paying job. It wasn't a high-paying job; it was a well-paying job. Can you get a business analyst job if you study data science? 100%. I started off as a BA with a chemistry degree. James Szynski. I hope I'm pronouncing that somewhat correctly. How do you deal with bad data and messy tables? Also, tables that are encrypted, i.e., the column name does not explain the contents of the column. Ah, interesting. Okay, so if the column name, if it is encrypted, that's usually not a problem. Let me give you a great example. So I work at Nordstrom, right? We're a fashion retailer. We do have customer data. Whenever I get access to it, I don't see the first name and last name of a customer. I see something called a cust ID, basically. It's an encrypted value. It's a hashed value that is unique for every customer. At the end of the day, that serves my purposes. I don't need to know the customer's name. I mean, obviously, for some forms of analysis, it would be good, but privacy regulations say we basically can't use that. Totally fine. Long story short, Anna Jones is ID number 1123, and John Silverman is ID number 3321. That's all I really need to know. I just need to know the ID value. So you can use the encrypted value as a categorical value, and I would just treat it like any categorical value. Messy tables, drop as much data as you don't find necessary. So here's a couple of things. If you're running machine learning algorithms, right, there's a couple of checks you need to run first. You need to check for multicollinearity. So you can use something called the VIF or variance inflation factor, I think is what it's called, to check if any columns are multi-collinear with each other. And if they are, go ahead and get rid of some of those. That'll get rid of a bunch of columns immediately. And then go ahead and get rid of columns that don't really explain anything, or columns that don't have any correlation to like whatever you're trying to predict. I'm just assuming that you're trying to use a like implement a machine learning algorithm or some kind of analytics over here, where either way you can have multicollinear columns. So those are a couple of things you can do to reduce the size of your data table. Already watched all three and put all three on my resume. Awesome, awesome. Well, I mean, that then you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. Great job. Business analytics minor, by the way. Nice, nice, good stuff. All right. All right, so I hope I answered your question, James. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing any context you may have added later. Okay, Layla Garcia. Hi, Shashank. I was wondering how you went about your data analyst journey. Do you have a bachelor's degree? If so, what is it, and how long did it take you to learn the tools needed for data analysis? Yes, so I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry, and I will be 100% honest with anyone on this chat, at least in the United States. I don't believe it should be necessary, but long story short, it puts you at a significant advantage to have some kind of a bachelor's degree. So if you look at my, oh hey, thank you so much, Weeb course HNL. So I'm guessing this is Honduran currency, right? HNL, Honduran Lempira. Cool. I've never heard of a Lempira. I'm always learning stuff on this channel. Thank you so much, Weeb course. So a Honduran Lempira. I know that Hondurans use Lempiras now. Good to know. Good to know. Sorry, I was in the middle of answering. Where was the question I was answering? Oh, Layla Garcia. Here it is. Okay. So yes. Yeah. So I got a chemistry degree, bachelor's in chemistry. They have that Google Analytics course, which they say they'll look at as equivalent to a bachelor's degree. Um, I have no reason to believe that's not true. I also have no reason to believe that is true beyond Google just saying that. And the problem is, and here's this is not me saying that it's not equivalent to a bachelor's degree. Here's the only problem, though, right? When you're competing for jobs in Google, you'll be competing with people with like master's degrees and stuff like that. Um, Again, I think because they went out and they said, "Hey, this is equivalent to a bachelor's degree," there's going to be some uh, respect for what like their own content that they put forward. Then again, it's also Google, and Google's known to backtrack on like a lot of stuff they do. But we'll see. So I would say, long story short, get a bachelor's degree if you are able to. If you're not able to, that's a really it's a difficult question for me to answer because I personally have one, and I personally don't know anyone who doesn't have a degree in my field. Um, so I would say go ahead and get a degree. If you can get one in statistics or some kind of mathematical field or computer science, those are probably the best ones to get directly into this field, into the analytics field. Um, but obviously, I have a chemistry degree and I'm doing just fine. So, and the thing I would also mention is no one cares about your degree after your first job, and even your first job, they barely care, man. It's like it's actually crazy just how much money we spend for these degrees, and then people don't care. Um, so, sorry, do you have your bachelor's degree? How long did it take me to learn the tools needed for data analysis? So I'm constantly learning. I would say like to be minimally viable as an analyst, it took me about 6 months to a year to learn the tools. I use Alteryx and Tableau as stand-ins for Python and SQL. Um, if I was to start off with Python and SQL and like it took me, I would say it took me about 3 months to learn Python. But that was just like me sitting at home, just grinding it out for hours a day, and putting an insane amount of time into it. I think a more realistic timeline would be like 6 to 12 months to learn Python to a level where I call you like competent in it. And I'm still learning every single day. But I'm very confident that like I can, stick it with the best of them currently. So yeah, and I see you answered. You said something down here. Also, is it a good time? When is a good time to put SQL, Tableau, and Python on my resume? Like I'm not 100% sure. I would say after you watch my courses, it's a tough one, right? After you watch my courses, I'd say like if you can execute on everything in my course, I mean I would say SQL, Python, and Tableau at that point. The only thing is you have to be confident enough to be able to execute on that in a um, interview. And Francis is exactly right here. As long as you understand the basics and do a project, and you can work through the data analyst pipeline from extraction to data visualization, yeah, you're good enough to go. I have a bachelor's degree in communication with a minor in marketing. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Hey, you have a degree in marketing. Marketing is a field that needs analytics probably more than any other field out there, except for finance. Finance probably hires the most analysts of anyone, but after that, it's like marketing. So I would say marketing is a great minor to have. All right, let's get back to it. Duck win, or sorry, Dewey win. Did you work on EEG or ECG data? If you did, can you share some experience with it? EEG or ECG? So I'm guessing that's like some kind of private data. Let's see. EEG data. Not familiar with the acronym. Electroencephalogram data. No, I have not actually. Whoops. Let me. I have not actually. Although I know that there is a great Kaggle project that uses motion tracking data from people, and you're supposed to use basically they like strap motion trackers to, like college students, obviously consenting, and they would track when the college students were drunk. And they would use the motion trackers like basically determine if someone was like drunk or not. And the idea was that you can implement this in like an app on your phone to tell when someone is drunk just based on their movements. Rock, what is your favorite show slash anime? Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so my favorite like dumb TV is White Collar. I love watching White Collar. It's kind of like just turn my brain off, get to watch it. Although I hate the whole like Kate. I hate Kate as a character. I wish she didn't exist. I don't care about the like the storyline with like Nick chasing her and stuff. I couldn't care less. I just like seeing like Nick and Peter's hijinks from episode to episode. Outside of that, I'd say House of Cards is a really big show for me. Game of Thrones until the last two seasons, although unfortunately the last two seasons retroactively ruined most of the show for me. I'd say I'm a bit more of a YouTuber. I watch a lot more YouTube and I game a bit more. In which case, my favorite games right now, like I'm playing Advance Wars 2 a lot, and Advance Wars Dual Strike, and I love The Witcher. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to be buying a PC, um, and I'm going to make a video about it. So uh, be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a video basically like about like what type of laptop a data analyst should get, and I don't want to ruin the surprise quite yet. So, all right, next question. How many projects should I would say one. Have one or two excellent projects. That's all you need. I would rather see one excellent project that you put a lot of effort into than 10 projects of mediocre quality. Literally, I would rather see one of excellent quality than 10 of mediocre quality. So I'd say just one's good enough. Like, a project's not going to get you your job. I should probably be clear about that. What a project does is once you have an interview with a hiring manager, you whip out the project and you say, hey, here's like proof that I know what I'm doing. That's what the project does. So, I mean, I guess in that sense, it gets you a job. But, um, excuse me, hiring managers aren't scouring LinkedIn and GitHub looking for people's projects. Quite honestly, it's an unfortunate truth. They really aren't. They're looking for people whose resumes match whatever skill set they're looking for the job they're looking for. Woo! Excuse me. Wow. So this passion fruit flavor is not my favorite. Unfortunately, it really sucks. I like passion fruit quite a lot, actually. And I will be on for the next 25 minutes. If anyone has any questions you'd like for me to answer immediately, feel free to send me a super chat, and I will answer your question immediately. All right, next question. Do you recommend becoming an expert in the Microsoft ecosystem, Power Platform, Dataverse, Azure, maybe through different certificate courses? I don't think that's a bad idea at all, honestly. I personally am sticking to platform neutral technology, so um, that would be like Python, R, SQL. Obviously, like with BI tools, you have to pick a platform. But the thing about BI tools is that, like by definition, they're kind of supposed to be easy to use. Otherwise, like like what it's not a tremendous tool, which will lead me to some criticisms I have of Tableau as a tool. And I would say Microsoft will be here long after I'm dead. So I would never tell anyone that like becoming a Microsoft specialist is a bad idea. I think it's an excellent idea. That being said, I personally prefer to be platform neutral as much as possible. So even though I know Tableau, for example, I put Power BI on my resume because like once you know one, you know all of them. Like they all work more or less the same. I know Google Data Studio as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't see the problem with it. I will say that like you can net a lot of money doing that, but then you're also like you're severely limiting like what you are able to do. Like I know people that have like become like really entrenched in the Salesforce ecosystem. They make a lot of money, but they are married to Salesforce, and it's difficult for them to leave if they want to. Versus people who I know who have like generalized skills, like again Python, SQL, R, like these are things that are just like everyone uses them and they're open source and everything. They're not really tied down to any technologies except for those technologies. So I think it's a tremendous idea. You can make a ton of money doing it. I have known a lot of engineers growing up. So my dad was like an Oracle professional. So I knew a lot of engineers growing up who made a killing on Oracle technology. So I don't think it's a bad idea at all. You'll make a ton of money. You will be part of a very small group of people relative to how big it could be. I just started learning SQL and Python to get technical skills for finance. And do you recommend trying to learn both at the same time or one before another? I don't see the problem with learning SQL and Python together. The thing is, it's because, at least in my mind, SQL is pretty easy to SQL at a basic level is pretty easy to get a hold of. At a more advanced level, it can become quite complicated. But at a very like simple level, like the level you need for analytics, for a lot of analytics, is it's fairly simple. So I would say learning both at the same time is not a bad idea. Can a data scientist crack DR on protected videos, which only gives a blank screen when being recorded? Um, I don't know. I mean, I know data scientists like I call data scientists like software engineer adjacent. Um, in that obviously like you pick up some software skills on the way, but like at the end of the day, it is really easy to get, and this like happened to me very much. It's very easy like in the analytics space to get distracted with the software engineering aspect of data science, i.e. try and learn as many languages as possible, try and like become like a Python expert, when like at the end of the day the value we derive is very mathematical and very much in the analytics we perform, of which Python or R is just a tool to perform that. All right. Miles R. I am interviewing next week for a state government survey statistician position. Cool, cool, cool. Where I'll mostly be using SAS. I am so sorry, man. I'm planning to try and show off a SAS and maybe unrelated Python project. Any advice? I would say show off the SAS project first, and then ask them if they're interested in the Python project. And I would even say like with the SAS project, be like, hey, I was so excited to start this position that I did a SAS project on my own time, and I'm very excited to show it to you guys. Do you have a minute for me to show you? Do ask them before you actually do show them, but like kind of like force it on them and say like, hey, like this is what I want to do. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh wow, we got a lot of stuff here. All right, okay, let's get back to it. Oh, I smell some barbecue. So I'm taking my girlfriend out on a date tonight. I'm really excited. It's gonna be we're gonna eat some good Indian food, so it'll be fun. After moving out of my parents' house, I haven't had much of it. Okay, so James Szynski. To elaborate, I'm trying to learn SQL with my company's database, and all of the tables and columns that obviously explain the content of the data. Ah, okay, okay, no, that makes sense, and that's the way it should be. Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say the only thing you can do is to go onto Confluence if you guys have it, or some other documentation website, and start looking at the documentation for the tables. If the company should be documenting like what column means what. If not, then I just go ahead and start asking people and asking what those tables mean. But having encrypted columns is not a hindrance at all to analytics because it just correlates to something else, really, right? Nightmare. Can you tell me one big project which I should work on as a starting career in my data science? That's a tough one, right? Because I'd say find something you're interested in and like work on that. As far as like what you should work on, huh? Yeah, no, that's a hard question. I mean, I'd say find something you're interested in and work on that. Really, it's. I mean, sentiment analysis is a great one. Yeah, sentiment analysis projects are a great one. Let's see what else. Forecasting is always a big one. People love forecasting. Yeah, stuff like that. Maybe some geospatial analysis that might be interesting. Okay, 180 did you? Would you ever consider making a mock technical interview video similar to what I know this guy, Clement does, but with analytics instead of developer related problems? Yeah, sure. I think that's a great idea. Why not? For the lock function in Python, why is it that fields have string values for the row parameter of the function give out an error? Because the so you should so the row parameter refers to the index. So unless your index is core, unless your index actually has string values inside it, you have to use numbers. What's up? Oh, okay, cool. Um, so unless your index actually has string values in it, which I think it can. I've never used it before, but I think that can happen. Um, then you kind of have to do. Then you kind of have to you have to use numbers. Yeah. Brendan Smith. Sadly, I think clickbait would help a lot. It's dumb, but it worked. Yeah. So Brendan's like referring like how I can improve my videos. Oh man, that's a that's a really like big, that's a that like I don't know if you guys have ever watched Tech Lead, right? So Tech Lead's this guy where like I used to watch him like years ago, and he had a couple of videos. I was like, oh, this is super interesting. But then like he's basically the software engineer that like fell off the deep end and became a huge scammer, and just like scams people these days. It's really sad. So he was an ex Facebook, ex Google software developer. I like watching because it seemed like an older guy that was like giving it to you straight. But then he had this interesting video where he was like talking about how he thought that like diversity was bad, and then he had this video where he was like, "Oh yeah, my wife left me because I didn't like give her enough money." And I was kind of like, this guy seems to have some like interpersonal issues that like I can see make it being a problem for him in the future. And then he just like went like full on scamming people. Jomatek used to be involved with him, but luckily Jomatek seems to have distanced himself since then. I think obviously I don't think I'm ever going to become tech lead, but like yeah, tech lead crypto scammer exactly. But I kind of use him as an example. Him and Siraj Ball. I use them as examples of trying to make sure that as my channel becomes more popular and as I want to like chase more views and more likes, not becoming people like them, um, or even someone that like doesn't deliver the value that I feel people like from my channel. I want people to feel like the content I'm putting out there is valuable. That way, if I ask for a Patreon subscription or if I ask for like if I ask for a super chat or something, I feel justified in asking that. And that I'm genuinely helping people. I'm genuinely providing constructive content for again, at the end of the day, part of the reason I feel justified in asking for Patreons and like super chats is like if the advice I give works well, then you will be making more money because you'll be in a high paying career, which is why I feel justified in like what I do. Um, so yeah, that's a long way of saying like I'm not against doing clickbait at all, but it is like watching people like that and how some people have fallen off the deep end. Um, I would I am very like like wary of like that what happens of it. So Brenda Smith, do you have any tips on someone who's coming from an unrelated field? I came from chemistry. Find a job. That's the first thing you need to do. Find some job in analytics. So I was lucky enough to just like fall into an analytics job, and after that you're set for life. After you have an analytics job, maybe you might have to get a master's degree to become like a data scientist. But yeah, I didn't mean to send that one sec. Okay, so it looks like you sent something later. Okay. I would also like to get my master's in more quantitative field. Yeah, I think that's great advice. Do you have any tips for someone who is coming from an unrelated field, social sciences and businesses? Yeah, um, it's all about getting that first job. That's all that matters. Once you get that first job, it doesn't matter. No one looks at your degree. No one cares. They look at your degree to make sure you've checked a box to make sure you're part of the what I will call like the class of America. Again, I'm just talking about America right now. I can't speak for other countries. The class of Americans who have a degree. Um, Again, I don't think the degree has much value. The other piece of advice I would give is at that first company you're at, try and stay there for about 2 years and really like build up your credentials over there. Obviously, someone's coming in and offering you a great position. Don't say no, but stay in that position for 2 years. That way, you build up your analytics credentials and do some stuff outside of work as well to actually like really like bolster in that like oh yeah I'm serious about analytics. After that first job, you're set, and I would also say don't be afraid to do title changes on your resume. So for example, like my first job was technically as a business analyst. I just called it a data analyst because that's the work I was doing, and I can very much like back up the fact that I'm calling it that. But the actual title was business analyst. So if you're doing like some like ancillary analytics function, I would say at the end of the day, as long as you can back up what you're doing, I wouldn't like blame someone for doing a title change on their resume, and I wouldn't be mad if someone did it, as long as they can back up what they say they can do. Also, for anyone that hasn't liked the video already, make sure to like the video. It tells YouTube and the algorithm that you like what you see. Oh, 1 second. The rabbit's trying to come out. Ah, man. No bun. There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, now the door's closed. All right, next question. Fighter jet. Can you give some examples of common/routine day-to-day tasks your employer asks you to complete? Oh, okay. I was just making sure she didn't get to come out. Okay, yes. So, okay, there's a couple of tasks, right? So we're building a machine learning platform in my company right now. So I am part of the development team that's like, taking in tickets and like adding in features. So for example, today I built out a feature to test for multicollinearity by asking the user if they want to use correlation coefficients or VIF, variance inflation factors, um, to determine if certain columns are multicollinear with each other, or sorry, are collinear with each other. Sorry. And that another aspect is there was a dashboard that another team wanted to have, and so I had to like collect all the data, run all the SQL statements, run it by the engineering team to make sure the SQL statements were performant. Because once you have enough people running on your databases, SQL statements have to be written in like a standardized and performant way. Also, like for example, if I were to leave the company, it's important that my SQL statements are easy enough for people to read because there are multiple ways to do stuff in SQL. And SQL more so than many languages is a bit of a mess, honestly, because like there are so many different conventions that you could be using. And then I create a dashboard using that information, and then make sure it's productionalized and sent out to the necessary team. So those are a couple of things I do on a day-to-day basis. Business analyst versus a data scientist, two very different professions. Business analysts will take data that already exists typically and build dashboards off of it. They are the conduit between developers and the business. And data scientists are, data scientists. They usually are trying to find correlations using data that doesn't exist. Is it easier to get a data admin or data analyst role? I'd say data analyst role. Data admin is very, very different, and I wouldn't say that's a great way to go into the analytics profession. Francis Okoye is 100% right over here. There's no such thing as an unrelated field. Data is everywhere. It's part of the reason I wanted to get into this whole field. At the end of the day, like being a data analyst, I can work in any field I want to. Fashion needs data analysts. Automobiles need data analysts. Um, Semiconductor manufacturing needs data analysts. Literally everyone needs a data analyst or a data scientist at some point in time, at some level. So yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Francis is here dropping the real knowledge. Thank you so much for your time over here, Francis. So how can we deal with large data sets? I had like a 1.5 gigabyte data which needed to be read. It took 30 minutes. Then to train the model took a lot of time. How can we make it fast? Okay, so a couple of things. It might be faster to read it in as a NumPy array. You could also, what you could do if you are iterating on your model, then you could just sample the data, sample like 10% of the data, build out your model using that, and then train the model on all of the data. That way, you can go do something else while the model is training. I know for me, when I say like things take a long time to finish, usually it's when I'm in the iteration process and like going through all of that data over and over and over again is not really great. So yeah, I would highly recommend sampling the data, building out your entire pipeline, and then running it once to see what happens. Tableau certification worth it? Let's see. Francis Okoye is 100% right. I would say Tableau certification is only worth it if you are going to go into Tableau consulting, and even then, I doubt it. So let me give you some, I guess, like quote unquote proof of this. I do independent consulting through Upwork and outside of Upwork. I have zero Tableau certifications, and I have no trouble getting clients to trust my Tableau skills. Part of the reason is also because I have that YouTube video out of like my Tableau course, but even without that, I'm very confident I would like not need that. Tableau certifications are kind of a lot. Tableau certifications, especially, are kind of a way for Tableau to just make money on the side, especially the lower level certifications. Like if someone had the highest level Tableau certification, I'd be like, oh, okay, this person like knows Tableau. But the lower level certifications are very easy to get. And I'm not the biggest fan of them personally. I would recommend, unless you have a reason to believe a specific employer you want to work for cares about the certification, or a specific client cares about the certification, I would not get one. Yeah. Brendan Smith, have you ever wanted to go back into chemistry from the analyst side of things? Personally, no. I have no passion for chemistry. I got it because I wanted to get. I was thinking about not a degree. I was thinking about becoming a doctor. And just decided I didn't want to become a doctor. I didn't want to work for. I didn't want to study for 15 years to make about as much money as a software engineer makes these days. But the software engineer can start making that money from the age of 23. Uh, and I had no interest in like the medical sciences. Not at all. I sound really disparaging. At the end of the day, doctors are very, very like some of the most important members of society. But I have no interest in being a doctor. Thank you so much, Brendan. Yeah, yeah. If people could like it, that would be awesome. And also, I think here's something that people could really help me out with. I the format we have right now, where I like come online and I answer questions one after another, I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement over here. So if anyone has any suggestions, probably the best thing you could actually do to help me right now is just put your suggestions down in the comment section below. Like I've been very seriously thinking over the last week of like how can I make this better, because I'm kind of like I am I would like to see the live stream get better. Like I am excited by the idea that I can continue to improve the content I make, and I want to know how can I improve these live streams. So yeah, if anyone has any ideas, like leave them down below. That is probably the most helpful thing anyone here can do for me. I was thinking about opening up a Discord, and I probably will in the future. But the problem is like in relation to the live stream, I'm not sure how that would help. Maybe like integrating my Twitter in it or something. I'm not exactly sure. Um, so yeah, any suggestions anyone has, please let me know. Okay, Minvo, I think this is where we're at. Is getting an MS in data science or business analytics worth it? I have a major in business analytics. I don't have a strong math or tech background, so it's quite hard for me to do math and stats. For someone like you, I'd recommend getting a stats degree, honestly. I feel like someone answered your question over here. Convince yourself why you need an MS in DSBA if you're doing because otherwise. Yeah, so 100%. First of all, Francis is right. At the end of the day, masters masters programs are very freaking expensive. Um, that being said, I think if you want to go into like much higher level corporate positions, you can be severely hindered by not having a master's degree. Not that it's impossible to do it, just that you can be very severely hindered without the degree. Because there's always going to be someone out there who has a degree who will do the same job with the same pay. Um, so yeah, first of all, convince yourself why you need a master's degree. Advice that I received from a data scientist is that they have a lot of respect for statistics degrees because that shows that someone has a mathematical background to actually, because the technology changes every day. We're using Python today. For all we know, in 5 years, Go is the language that everyone wants to use for data science and analytics, right? So like leaning on like Python and like SQL and stuff like a lot of like data science degrees kind of like lean on that stuff. When like at the end of the day, like the analytical skills, which statistics undergirds all of that, are probably what a lot of people care about. So I would take a look at a statistics degree. Again, don't just go and do it because I said it. Like, go ahead and look at the MS degree. Ask yourself, do I need one right now? For the career path that I need, do I need it? Here's a great thing. A lot of people I know want to just become managers and then quit and go start their own business. I would say if you want to do that, don't go get a master's degree. No one cares if you have a master's degree if you have a business of your own, and you don't need a master's degree to become a manager of some sort. So ask yourself, in the career trajectory I'm interested in, do I need a master's degree? And then on top of that, go ahead and ask yourself, what master's degree, what syllabus is going to achieve the most for what I'm looking for? I'd say that's probably the most important thing. Thank you for the advice over here, guys. Ah, interesting. Okay. Use a mic. Okay, okay, yeah, no, 100%. I should probably invest in a mic. Honestly, I'm too cheap to get one, but I probably should get one. Matthias, Storytelling with Data. That's a great book for anyone starting from scratch. Ooh, I'm about to head out. Um, Last chance to ask me any other questions. I'm probably just going to answer whatever I find particularly interesting. It's 6 o'clock over here, so I do need to head out, hang out on my Saturday night or Friday nights. I would agree with this statement more or less. I don't think most companies need entry level data scientists. Data science A data science role should not be an entry level role. It should be a more senior role, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, a data scientist is supposed to tackle in a corporate environment is supposed to tackle corporate problems that are particularly advanced and the kind that like requires some level of experience to really understand. So yeah, that's what I would say. And I actually do have a Twitter. So anyone that is interested in following my Twitter, it is calamari95, as you can see over here. So my Twitter might be I don't know, maybe we could do something with my Twitter. I don't know. Anyone got any ideas? Calamari95 is my Twitter. Does your job require to use SQL? Yes, every single day. Yeah. So Python is just my preference. But so usually what I do is I'll write out a bunch of SQL to like pull whatever data I need, and then after that I get off of it and I like start working in Python. So and every data scientist on my team, I think if I think all of them like are more comfortable in Python than they are in SQL. So I would say, yeah, I'm a lot more comfortable in Python. But like obviously, if I need to pull data from database, I have to use SQL. And a lot of my independent consulting gigs have me working in SQL, not Python. So oh, interesting. Okay, how do you balance work, learning, and hobbies for free time? Struggling with learning these extra skills after work and enjoying my free time. So I would say I'm actually a very bad example of someone who balances anything. I am very extreme in my time, so I don't actually like spend a lot of time just like enjoying, like just like hanging out. Like I'll play like some video games here and there, but I definitely think that I can do a better job about that. So unfortunately, I would say that is one thing where I am not a great example to follow. But thank you guys so much for joining this live stream. If you haven't already liked the video, please go ahead and like the video. I love talking to you guys. I love these live streams. Sorry, I love these live streams. If you have any improvements, leave them in the comments section below. Comments are also a great way to show YouTube that you really care about what we're doing over here. And I do these every Friday and every Thursday. And I'll try and like maybe there's like a page or something I can set up to like interact with people a little bit more. That might be the thing. Like at the end of the day, like YouTube is not a great way to like interact with people, and we're building a good community over here that I'd like to interact with people a little bit more. So I think what I'm probably gonna do is like I might like build out the Discord or something, and I might like open that up to people. Yeah, I'll probably do it. But thank you guys so much for joining, and if you haven't already liked the video.